Hey friend, welcome to the Branding with Jade podcast. I'm Jade, also known as the Aussie Adventuress, and I left the high-flying corporate world to chase my dreams and build an online business. Now, my biggest passion is teaching you how to get paid to be yourself doing what you love. If you want my secrets on all things personal branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and making money doing what you love, then lovely, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to the Branding with Jade podcast. We are here, the first episode of 2020, a whole new decade, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you all. I have had an interesting start to the year, as I'm sure many Australians would be feeling quite similar in the wake of the bushfires and everything that's going on in our country. It's been a bit of a hard transition back into work, I guess. Like a lot of us would have taken a break over the Christmas and New Year's period. As I told you guys, I was going to be having a break from the podcast and most of my business stuff. And so it's just been, I guess, a bit tricky figuring out how to ease back into work when you know a lot of the country is still suffering and we're in the midst of this bushfire crisis. And I guess at one point I was feeling guilty about just going on as normal. And then there's been some really inspiring people that I follow on Instagram that have made me realize it's okay to continue. It's okay to still feel joy. We as a nation have banded together. We've done our bit. We're not forgetting, but everyone just wallowing in and not continuing on with their lives isn't going to help the situation. In fact, us building our businesses, us being able to thrive more gives us the capability to give more back, to donate more, to show up in other ways, to raise more awareness. And so that really got me fired up again to start the year strong and to get back on track. So last week, all our visitors left and I had a bit of a rest and recuperation week. And now I'm back at it, ready to go guns blazing, excited for an awesome 2020 and an awesome decade and so many exciting things on the radar. So I'm excited to share everything with you guys. I've received so many beautiful messages over the last few weeks of people sharing how they've got value out of my podcast and they really enjoy my content. So I'm super excited to keep giving more to you guys. And as usual, if there is anything you want to hear about specifically, if there's anything you really enjoyed learning about, then please do leave a review. I really do appreciate them, and it really does help me to continue to provide the content that is going to serve you best. So on that note, I do have one review to read, which I'm super grateful for. It's from Alicia, a designer in Australia, and her review says, "Love this podcast, a great podcast for startups and solopreneurs with lots of valuable information and practical steps and tools to get your business off to a really successful start. Love Jade's energetic and bubbly personality, a very inspiring listener." So that just warms my heart. Thank you so much for that, Alicia. I really do appreciate you taking the time to write that, and I'm really glad that you feel that way, and it just makes me really want to show up and give you even more valuable content because I love sharing this. It's something I'm so passionate about. It's something that has really helped me grow a successful business, and I really want to teach you more. And I was actually speaking to a potential coach yesterday who I may be hiring, who I'm very excited if that goes ahead. She's a creativity coach, and I'm looking at really unleashing that extra side of my personal brand and the creative side, and really digging deeper into my personal branding and learning more about my journey so that I can share even more with you guys about how to really establish a powerful personal brand. So I've got lots of awesome content planned for this year, and I cannot wait to get stuck into it. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic for 2020. And this is actually inspired by a message I received recently from a friend who has been listening to the podcast and asked a question about this. And I thought, why not actually do an episode about this to really dig deep into the topic and share my knowledge on it? Because it is such a valuable question and such an important topic to cover. And it's, what is the difference between a personal brand and a business brand? And I went straight in guns blazing talking about personal branding and the importance of personal branding, but I never really gave you the distinguishing lines between what the actual difference is. And so I think it's a really important topic to uncover and to talk about a little bit, so you actually understand what the difference is and can make an informed decision about how to actually set up your business and how to go about really deciding what kind of brand is right for you and how to mold them together if you're going to do a few different types of brands. So that you might be thinking, how do I do different brands? So that's what I'm going to talk about now. So this is something that I actually cover in depth in my course. So my Boss Branding Academy course, which is in the process of being revamped so I can launch it later this year, which I'm very excited about. But basically what I'm going to just talk about today is the different types of brands that are out there and what ones you might consider. So there's actually lots of different types of brands, and you may have come across a lot of these in your day-to-day life and in your online explorations and all of that kind of stuff. So there's the obvious one, which is personal brand, which we've spoken a lot about, but there's so many other types of brands as well. There's your product brands, service brands, corporate brands, investor brands, not-for-profit brands, public brands, activist, place, nation, ethical, celebrity brands, ingredient brands, global brands, challenger brands, generic brands, and luxury brands. So there's so much more to branding than just being a personal brand. There's so many different types of brands you could be. And when you're starting out and when you're just thinking about a business, then you're probably not thinking about most of these types of brands. You would know of a celebrity brand because we all see celebrities in our lives, and you probably know of corporate brands and investor and not-for-profit brands, but a lot of them you may not have heard of, and that's okay. You don't need to strive to be every type of brand, and that's why it's good to just focus on one key one that is going to be right for you. And so there's three main brands that you may end up choosing to be, and they're the ones I'm going to talk about today. So you've got your personal brand, which is what I've obviously spoken a lot about. It's what my main focus is because I've built a powerful personal brand, and that's what I like to educate people about. So basically, a personal brand can otherwise be known as an individual brand, and basically it's the brand a person builds around themselves. So it's normally built to enhance their career and their business opportunities, and it's often associated with how people portray and market themselves via media. Now, an example of a really, really strong personal brand would be someone like Marie Forleo. Now, everything she does is tied to her name. Her social media is all under Marie Forleo. She's got her award-winning YouTube channel, which is Marie TV. She's now got a published book, which is just under her name. She's got so much, and her brand is so powerful, and it's all based on her. So she is a really powerful personal brand. Another example of that would be someone like Oprah. They are just all, it's a brand built around themselves, and then they may have things coming off that, like Marie Forleo has her B School, which is her course that she launches each year. So that is a brand that is tied into her name, under her name. So it's a brand within her personal brand. But the reason she does so well with that is because everybody knows Marie Forleo. Everyone sees her as a go-to educator. They love her YouTube channel. They love the training and valuable information that she provides for free. So each year when she launches B School, it's a no-brainer for people to buy it because they're already invested in her. They trust her. They know who she is, and they know her brand. So they're happy to invest in her product, which is B School. Which brings me to the next type of brand, which is a product brand. So this is when there's ideas and values built around a particular product. So your traditional product brands are things like clothing, cars, technology, all of the things that you can go into a store and physically buy. They are product brands. Then you've got the things like online, where you've got your network marketing brands. So things like supplements, health products, makeup products, all of the things out there these days that are done by network marketing. They are still product brands because there is a product being exchanged for money. And then, of course, online, your products are a little bit different. It's things like courses, membership sites, tools, events, books. So this is where, like I just said with Marie Forleo, she's got her personal brand and then she's got her product, which is B School. Another example of an online product brand would be something like the Female Entrepreneur Association. So this is a membership community that has been created by Carrie Green. Her actual personal brand isn't as well known. Hers is all about the product brand. So she's got a book out called She Means Business. People read the book, people learn about the Female Entrepreneur Association, people join the membership, and that is her main focus. That is the brand. That's what's well known. And she's the face behind that. She still has a personal brand, but it's not as big as the product brand, which is the Female Entrepreneur Association. That is what's well known. Another example of that would be something like I've forgotten her name now. Sophia Amoroso, I think. The nasty girl. Gosh, why did I forget that while I'm recording? It is Sophia Amoroso. And so she's got Nasty Girl, which is the clothing range. So she never really built a personal brand. She built the Nasty Girl clothing range, and then it was off the back of that popularity and off the back of her doing so well with that she then went on to build her personal brand. So her personal brand came after the business brand. So sometimes there's lines where they tie in together, but one will always come before the other. So it just depends on what type of business you're trying to grow, what your goals are, and what's going to be more suited to what your needs and intentions are with your business. And then one other type of business brand is a service brand. So these are similar to product brands, but it more involves adding perceived value to services. So this is useful in areas like professional services, like coaching, social media agencies, and things like that. And so this enables marketers to avoid competing skill versus skill, which is hard to prove and often devolves to a price argument, by associating their brand with emotions. So a good example of that would be something like VaynerMedia. Now, Gary V, as most of us would know him, he runs VaynerMedia. Now, you could say, but his social media agency wouldn't have done well without his personal brand, and that could be true, but that's also very valid because he's built such a powerful personal brand. He's able to create these services that people will then trust to purchase from him because he's established himself so well, and people see that he's done this for himself, so that he can do it for them as well. And so that's why you'll often find like online coaches, online business owners, they usually start with a really powerful personal brand and then they can branch things off that. Another example that I love, she's a girl from Perth, and she was running social media workshops, in-person workshops in Perth, and now she's gone on to actually have an online membership site. And she started with her company called Villa Management, and she didn't really have a very strong personal brand at that time. It was all about the business brand, Villa Management, which was known for her social media workshops. And then over time, people started to ask her to appear on interviews. They've had her on podcasts. In the last year, she's been published in lots of newspapers, magazines, and her personal brand has really elevated. So now it's the personal brand that is bigger than the online brand, but they both go hand in hand. So in case you're wondering who she is, you can go look her up. It's Brooke Vilinovich. I'll link all these brands that I'm mentioning in the show notes as well, so you can go look them up and see how the examples work. But I think it's really important to understand that sometimes these different types of brands do go hand in hand. Now, if you're like a bigger business and you've got bigger aims to be like a corporate business or something like a huge company where the face of the brand doesn't really matter, then maybe you wouldn't really need to focus on your personal brand so much. So things like your big corporate companies, like your Fortune 500s, all of that kind of stuff, there's not really a personal face behind those brands. They're just big companies and people know the company name, and CEOs come and go, and there's no real personality associated with that. It's products people need anyway. They'll keep going to them. They don't really care about the face behind it. They care about their personal experience with the brand, with the company, with the people that help them directly. So that's where the difference is between business, personal, products, services, and all of that. But so how do you know what type of brand you are? Firstly, it's important to think, what is the purpose of your business? Where will you derive your income from? And how do you want your business to be run? Do you want it to be fairly small and personal, or do you want to be on a larger scale? What type of business are you actually going to run? And so when you know those questions, then it's really easy to figure out what type of brand you're going to build. Now, I like to think that there's quite a happy medium where you can build your business brand and simultaneously work to establish your personal authority around a topic. And this is what Brooke Vilinovich has done really well. So you create your business brand, and then you reach out to other business owners to help you spread the word about what you offer. So this is where you write things like guest posts on blogs, appear in interviews, speak publicly, and personally spread the word about your business brand. As you answer questions and convey information, your personal authority grows. So people start to get to know you, and you are building your own personal brand, but you're doing that alongside your business brand. So you're raising the awareness of your business brand while actually elevating your own personal brand. And the good thing about building a personal brand is then you're not always stuck in that one niche. So when you build a business brand, that business brand becomes associated with one particular thing. The name generally conveys what the business does, and you're pretty much stuck in that kind of mold that you've built for it. It's hard to break out of it when you've got a name that specifically associates to that particular area that you're working with. So say, for example, like a bank. If you look at a bank, then like Bank West, Commonwealth Bank, then the brand is literally saying they are a bank. They couldn't just suddenly wake up tomorrow and say, I want to be a different business. Their whole name is banking, so they couldn't change that. So if you had a brand and your business was, that was just a big scale example, that was the first thing that came to mind. But if you say had a business that was a cake shop and your business name is Jade Sweet Cakes, it's pretty hard to change that and suddenly start selling clothes or suddenly start doing something completely different, because the name is Jade Sweet Cakes. People know me for cakes. People are coming to that shop for cakes. So you can't really move away from that business unless you completely shut that down and start fresh. Which is why it's always good to build a personal brand alongside your business brand. So if you do decide that you want to go down a different path, people still know you. They've already understood who the face behind the brand is, and they'll follow you and they'll want to work with you. And that's why Brooke Vilinovich is actually a really good example, because she's now actually changed. She doesn't have Villa Management anymore. She's changed to the Social Club, but people know who she is, so they trust her now. She's established that authority. She's got that following, and people will follow her in whatever business ventures she does now. And so that's why, while you're building up your business brand, it can be really powerful to build up a personal brand as well, so that if you do change your mind in the future, people will still continue to follow you. And this is what has worked really well for me, not by choice as such, but when I've worked alongside affiliate companies and they've shut down and I've had to start again, people knew my name. People respected me as my personal brand. And so they trusted me enough to follow me into other ventures. They trusted me enough to continue working with me even though they'd invested in one company with me, they trusted me enough to invest in me again and work with me again. So this is why building a personal brand is really powerful. And especially if you're doing things like network marketing and affiliate marketing, it's your brand. And this is what I've spoken about before. This is why I talk about personal branding so much. It's your brand that people follow. It's your brand that people get to know, like, and trust. And so when you build that personal brand, that's what's going to, because your name is never going to change. So that's what's going to stand the test of time. And within your name, you may change paths. You may branch out and do different things. A lot of people that have personal brands have multiple streams of income, and that's the beauty of having a personal brand, is you can have multiple streams. You can make your own online course, you can create your own products, you can coach people, you can sell affiliate offers, you can be in a network marketing company, and it's all aligned with your vision and values and the message that you portray of who you are and what it is and what type of person you are and what type of brand you have. So that's why personal brands can be really powerful. And so that's just something to think about. And I was just totally speaking I didn't even write many notes for this episode. I just wanted to get on and share my thoughts because the question was asked and it was fresh in my mind, and I wanted to really come in and just answer those questions. So I hope that I was able to define the difference between a business brand and a personal brand. I might just re-clarify it. I just want to make sure that it really does make sense. So I'm going to regroup and and go back and because that was just a bit of rambling of what I was thinking about, but now I want to actually refer to my notes because I did actually write some notes, and I'd like to talk you through those so that you have an even clearer understanding of the difference between personal brands and business brands. So I want to kind of talk about pros and cons. So some really good pros about personal brands is that they're flexible, which is something that I've just spoken about, which is because it uses the business owner's name, it means if your focus changes and you begin offering something different, you can adapt your offerings without needing to change the name of your business. So that was what I was talking about with the example of the cake shop, the bank, things like that. When you have a business name, it's a bit harder to be as flexible because you're really tied to that business name. And so unless you start from scratch and create a new business and new business brand, you are really tied in that box that you've created. So you really need to think about whether that business brand is something that's going to stick with you long term and whether it's something that is going to work. And if you're not sure, that's fine. Still do the business brand, still work with it, see what happens, but build your personal brand along the side because it's the personal brand that allows you the flexibility to grow and change and evolve over time. Now, another way that personal brands are really good is if you want to develop a speaking career. If you are somebody that really enjoys being in the public eye, you want to start being at events, you want to host retreats, you want to be hired as somebody that goes around and inspires and motivates people, then use your name because that's what people are going to recognize. That's what people are going to know. And once you've done the work, you'll be seen as someone who others want to hear from. And by establishing that personal brand and getting invited to speak at events, that helps you solidify who you are to other people's audiences. And it gives you the power to share your own products and grow your audience at an event. So someone may hire you to speak at their event. People at their event may love you so much that they come and search for you, and then they'll see what you're offering, and then they'll buy whatever you're offering too. That is how I have bought probably 90% of my courses, is from going to events, seeing speakers, loving them so much, going and finding them online, following them for a while, loving their content, and then wanting to buy their stuff too. So that is a really good way to build a powerful brand and get people knowing who you are and liking you and trusting you. And obviously, if you are just a one-person industry, then a personal brand is really good. So if you're an artist, an author, a speaker, a coach, then a strong personal brand will boost your business and attract new interested prospects. There's no need for you to come up with fancy branding names and have this whole separate business brand entity if you are just a one person that is going to be well known. It's easier to be known for who you are. Now, some of the cons of a personal brand is, obviously, if your brand is just your name, then it doesn't say a lot about what you do. So you really need to be clear in your messaging. You really need to show people what it is you do and make sure that they understand what you do, what you stand for, what your brand message and values are. And you can also have a strong tagline that you use consistently in everything that you do that aligns with what you offer. So I've spoken about taglines before, and if you go to my website, you'll see it's get styled, get social, build a powerful personal brand. Now, that's actually probably going to change because I'm not really doing a lot with my styling. I've decided that's not a path I want to go down. So that tagline will have to change because I don't want to be known for that. And that's the beauty of having a personal brand. It's not going to change my name. It's not going to change my site. All I really need to do is change my tagline. And so that helps because I don't need to go and do a whole big rebrand. All I have to do is tweak a few things to take styling out of what I'm offering. Now, sometimes a business brand may be a better solution. So business brands do take more upfront work to create because rather than use the name that you were born with, you need to create one. So that can be tough because a lot of times you may come up against problems where other people have already taken the names you've thought about, or it's trademarked, or it's too similar to something else. And so there's a lot of effort and work that has to go into creating the perfect business name that's going to work for you. You need to craft meaningful words, and it can be hard, but it's going to be worth the effort if you create a business brand that really does well. So this forces you to think through your plans for your business. You're not just coming and saying, yep, I'm going to start a business today. You really need to think about it. You need to think about what drives you, who your ideal customer is, what you offer, what your business will be known for. And going through this process before you even name it will help you actually come up with a really strong vision for where you want to take your business that goes way beyond the name and tagline. So doing this work is kind of a pro because it makes you think about your business in a longer term sense than just whacking your personal name up and starting a business. So there's a lot more thought and effort, but that actually is a lot more planning, which helps you create a stronger business. Now, business brands also allow you to position your business from the word hello. So you don't need to do a lot of time and effort into constantly pitching people and telling people what you do because they'll just know from the business brand. You can use as many words as you want. So you can find a few that really express what your business offers and then have a really powerful tagline that complements that. And then people will see that name and they'll instantly be drawn to it and go, yes, I love that. So some good examples for me, and I'm going to go straight to clothes because clothes are what I love. So one particular brand that I love is Spell and the Gypsy. Now, I know that it's bohemian clothes and like gypsy wanderess sea kind of clothes because of the name. It's whimsical, it's dreamy, it's that adventure kind of vibe, and that's exactly what their clothes are. And you know it just by looking at their brand name. Then the other one that I used to love, which doesn't exist anymore, and I'm devastated and I'll never get over it, is Wheels and Doll Baby. Now, I was obsessed with Wheels and Doll Baby for many years, and that's all rockabilly kind of clothes and like 50s. And from that name, you get that vibe as well because it's all that 50s, it's that pin-up girl kind of vibe, and that's what the clothes were. So you can see how a name of a business brand can really draw you in and really give you a sense of what that brand is all about without them having to say a lot more than that. And that name becomes well known. but it only becomes well known after time and after people spreading the word, whereas a personal name is already known. People already know you. So there's not as much work involved in building up a personal in establishing a personal brand, because you've already got a bit of a basis when you're starting out. People know you. But then what it is establishing it and getting it spread to wider audiences. So there's a bit of a difference there. And then, like I've just said, it's hard. It can be hard work to build a business brand. You have to create a brand name at a time when you may still be trying to decide what your business will offer and who your ideal customer will be. And then you've got to do the marketing. You've got to get people to spread the word. You've got to get people to like the business and understand what it is. And so it's not just a matter of saying to people, hey, share my blog, share this, share that, this is my name. It's, you've really got to establish that brand, and people really need to get to know your products and services and get to know you. And the biggest con of all, which I've spoken about, is that business brands aren't as flexible if your interests change. So you can't just change course and offer something completely different, because then you might need to create a second business, because if that doesn't relate to your original business name, it's not going to work. Like, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk, he started with Vayner Wines, or it wasn't called Vayner Wines, I don't think, but he had a wine company to start with. You can't create a social media agency out of that name. He had to create a separate company for Vayner Media, because it wouldn't make sense to link that with the wine business. They're not related at all. So that's where you might see that someone may have multiple different businesses out there, because they've found different interests, they've found different passions, and they've decided to change a little bit. So this is why I do believe it's really important to, if you are going to do a business brand, it's still really important to focus on building your personal brand alongside that, because then whenever you do decide to branch out and create new businesses, it's the personal brand that will promote that business brand. It's the personal brand that has the following. It's the personal brand that has the audience. It's the personal brand that people know, like, and trust. And so they will see that. And if you decide to branch out and do something different, they'll already love you so much that they will buy it from you. And it's been a perfect example with Marie Forleo with her book tour. Not everyone can write a book and become a New York Times bestseller a few days later, but she has such a cult following all over the world. People love her. People trust her. They know her. They like her. So anything she puts up, they eat up. Like, the second I saw she was coming to Australia on her book tour, I bought a ticket because I love her and I wanted the opportunity to meet her. And that is how so many people feel about her. It's the same with musicians that have concerts and stuff. Concert tickets sell out within seconds for some events, because people are so excited that their favorite musicians are coming and they want to see them. And so if you have a powerful enough brand, if people know you personally, then whatever you put out, they're going to buy. And so it's really important to have that personal authority that allows your business brand to grow alongside it. So if you can't decide between a personal brand or business brand, then this is the most flexible option to take, because that way, if you are someone who changes your mind and decides to go down a different path, it's fine, because people know you, they know your personal brand, and they're going to trust anything you do in the future. So that is why I always recommend personal brand, but if you do want a business brand, then build them side by side. I think that is the best way to go. And that is it from me for this episode. Thank you for listening. I promise the following episodes will be a lot more structured, but I really just wanted to get this one done. I wanted to share this information while it was fresh in my mind, because someone asked me the question and I liked the question and I wanted to cover it in more depth, because this was a lot more than I could cover just in a quick message back. And so I really wanted to dig deeper into the topic and share it a lot more. But I also like when I go on the tangents, because I think you can see that it's not scripted. It's real. It's me, and they're the kind of podcasts I like to listen to, so I like to do that too. So I hope you got value out of this episode, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. And as usual, if you do like what you hear, if you do enjoy my content, then please do leave a review. It really does mean the world to me, and I'll read it out on my next episode. I love reading them. I love sharing them. I love giving you guys shout outs because I think it's a really good way to give back as well and to show you that I appreciate you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.